This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Well, we couldn't have asked for a better way to start our Sunday than the brand new little balls of fluff for the Nkuhuma Pride. These are, well, two of them. You can just see one at the moment. The second one is with Mom and is lounging about, and we'll hopefully get a view of that little one just now. My name is Tristan. On camera I've got Marcel this afternoon, and we're very warm welcome to all of you. Hopefully you are going to love the fact that we are going to spend time with the Nkuhuma cubs for the very, very first time. Isn't it the sweetest little face? Look at that big yawn. And they are super chilled. They don't worry about us at all when we drove in. In fact, the one didn't even wake up and was so fast asleep with Mom. Now remember that we are coming to you live from South Africa and Kenya in the Maasai Mara, and so we want you to ask lots and lots of questions, and I'm sure you'll have lots of comments about the fact that we've managed to find the little cubs. And so because of that, we want you to use hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or at FC on the YouTube chat and talk to us about it. Now, I'm hoping this little one will go to where Mom is. Mom is hidden behind this quarry. You can just see her head, and the other little one is tucked up around her back legs. I think it's having a little drink of milk. It looks like a tiny little cub that's with her there, so I think maybe, just maybe, it might even be a boy and a girl already, because the one that we were seeing out in the open is much, much more, or looks a lot bigger than the other one already, and is far braver at this stage. This little one is super curious. It's been watching us the whole time we've been here. Look, it just keeps kind of looking at us as if to say, can I come and play? It is the cutest little thing ever. So a bit of perseverance has paid off. Jill, you say, wait, new cubs? Yes, it's the best thing ever is to have little fat lion cubs. They are the cutest things when you get new cubs. Now, these cubs, you can see, still got spotty little heads and are tiny, tiny, tiny still. So they're not brand new. I mean, they're not a few days old. But I would put them at around 6 weeks. I don't think they'd be too much more than that. And so very, very sensitive area, this. And what that means is that we're going to obviously have to call them in, but the sighting will probably be off limits for the rest of today after we've spent some time here. And then they'll have to kind of put in place what they're going to do. It normally would be a one vehicle sighting if Mom is present. Miss Anonymous, you say you feel like a godparent. Indeed, it does feel like being a little godparent. Oh, look at that little fat tummy. Hello, little cute one. Where are you off to? You're so fluffy. There's little legs as well. Now it's going to go to where Mom is. I'm just going to roll forward for you, Marcel, because the other one's just popped its head up as well, and there's actually quite a nice view. And you can see that they are fairly relaxed. Unless Mom moves. If Mom moves, then you find that it's a bit more tricky. Now, the little one there is just under Mom. Hello. Now, Mom, are you going to lie down somewhere nicely where we can see both the little ones and you? That would be very pleasant. I'm hoping she's going to walk a little bit to the left where she was lying this morning because it's much easier. But you can see that one there just seems a little bit smaller than the other one. They are super cute. Look at that little wobble. Typical little cubs, that's for sure. And she's going to lie actually further back now. I don't know how we're going to see them, Marcel. It's going to be very tricky. It's a quarry thicket that we're in. I'm going to try and go forward a little bit for Marcel. Obviously, you've got to be a bit sensitive about how you move when you're with cubs. You don't want to move too fast or too far. Marcel, can you see them through there? So Marcel's saying he can see them nicely through there, which is good. There they are, bundling off towards Mom. And so while we try and figure out a slightly better view, I'm going to send you across, I think, to Jamie. It could have been James, but there's Jamie. James is going to make it difficult for the afternoon and see what they say for today.
Hosanna, my boy, I fear for the very first time you might just have been overshadowed temporarily, though you will, of course, always be almost everyone's favorite. A very good afternoon to you all. I'm so excited for Tristan. My name is Jamie, and behind the camera is Craig. And, of course, everybody thrilled to see the new little Nkuhuma cubs. Tristan, myself, and Craig worked quite hard for them this morning, so that's very, very exciting news. Yay! I think that Craig is kind of devastated that he is not with Tristan now. He was with Tristan this morning, as we did a very concerted search around that area. We have Herbie to thank for Hosanna, sitting at Buffels Hook Dam. He is currently slotted into an erosion gully in the ground that looks very uncomfortable, but like all cats, he has managed to make it look comfortable somehow. Look at his paw tucked away in there. Of course, what he's waiting for, he's decided that Voyatella Dam is no longer the place to be for now. What he's waiting for is for something to come down and have a drink, at which point he can use his ambush skills. There's still a little bit of water left in Buffels Hook Dam. Not much, it's basically just a dried up mud puddle, but it'll be enough to attract animals. Look at him. He's ridiculous. He has, children, puppies and cats can make any sleeping position look comfortable somehow. Head slotted into the dried out mud. I just need to chat on the Game Drive radio briefly in a moment, or at least just listen to it. It sounds like there's quite a few people interested in him. Look at that neat little row of spots, those tiny, tiny spots he's got just above his left eye, between his left eye and his ear. I've never noticed those before. All right, a really thoroughly exciting way to start our afternoon. We're going to sit here, presumably for the rest of the afternoon. Let's send you across to Lauren to see what her plans are.
Good afternoon, good afternoon. Welcome to your sunset safari. Now, of course, it's already been very eventful. Little cubs and spots. Could it be any better? Probably not. Now, my name is Lauren, and on camera today I have Seb, and we are actually on our way to Chitwa. The others may have mentioned, but it's actually a very hot afternoon, very similar to yesterday. Cold mornings, cold evenings, but really hot afternoons. So Chitwa is the biggest water hole that we can traverse, so we thought let's go and head on down there and see exactly who's trying to cool down and who's trying to have a drink. So we're almost heading in there, and we're just going to explore the area to see exactly who is around. Of course, there will be the usual suspects of the hippos and the crocs, but Chitwa can be a very, very surprising place. Now, just a quick update from my side. I drove past the area that we had the sticks this morning, which is just the western side of Twin Dams, and they were no longer there. Of course, they didn't have much shade this morning, and it's really hot. So, I mean, it was inevitable that they were actually going to move to an area that was just a bit more shady. So they're probably still around, but we just don't know where. So they're no longer in the place that they were this morning, which is why we are heading on into Chitwa. On a day like today, many animals will come down to drink because it's a little bit unexpected heat. Of course, it should be a little bit cooler than this, I believe, for winter. So many animals should be here to drink. Well, I hope so, at least. So we shall see when we get there. But I'm very jealous of Tristan right now. How gorgeous! We finally get to see the Nkahuma cubs. So talking of those cubbies, let's go back across and see how they're doing.
Well, we've tried to reposition slightly where we can get a better view of her and them, but unfortunately it's a very tricky area, and I don't want to drive too close to her in any way or bash down trees. So we've taken as much of an open clearing as we can and just trying to watch the little cubs from quite far. So you can see they're in the background playing with Mom's tail at the moment, which is always the best game, is playing with Mom's tail. They often do it, and the black tuft is the perfect thing to bite and pull and kind of have, the best time as a little cub. So we'll just see how it goes, but very, very exciting to have these two little balls of fluff. Hopefully they come round to where Mom's head is, because then we're going to see them a lot better than where they are at the moment. They're a little bit hidden at the moment, and that's because of all the kind of bush. And like I said, I don't really want to off-road too much or hit trees or anything like that, the less disturbance we make around here, the longer they are going to stick around. Right, now because it's always a joyous occasion to have little cubs, we're going to try and show a lot more people this. So I'm just going to stop speaking for a little bit while we set that up. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to South Africa and a very, very special moment. We are seeing two brand new little lion cubs for the very first time this afternoon. They are cute little balls of fluff and seem to be full of beans. Now you can see there's Mom lying over there, and the two little ones are kind of playing around. Hopefully we'll get a slightly better view, but as is life with sort of lion dens, is that it's generally in thicker, denser areas, and so we don't want to crash around and disturb the den at all. We want to try and be as respectful as possible. So for now, it's going to be fairly sort of long distance views of them in a thicket, and you can see that one is having the best time with Mom's tail. Now, before we kind of get into all of this, I need to just tell you who I am so that I'm not a disembodied voice in the background. My name is Tristan, and on camera I've got Marcel this afternoon, and it is a very warm welcome to you. And remember that we are coming to you live, which means that you can ask any questions or post any comments that you have in the comments section below, and we'll try and answer as many as possible. Now, the little cubs that you're seeing there, we reckon are around about 6 weeks old, somewhere around there. They're still very small, very spotty, but their eyes are open and they can see that they're moving around. Isn't that cute? Look at that. Now she's getting groomed. Look at that. That's very, very special. They are the cutest little things in the whole wide world. Very, very fortunate to be able to spend time with lion cubs like this and to have a lioness that's being so accommodating and letting us into life. Now, just listen a while. You can actually hear them squeaking. They've stopped squeaking now. James, you want to know how many cubs were born? Well, James, we don't know how many were born, but there's only 2 cubs here that we can see. So we've got 2 little ones. I haven't even been able to see what sex they are. Literally, we just found them 5 minutes ago, and so it hasn't been a long period to be able to kind of work out exactly what's going on. But 2 is what we know of. They have been seen by a neighboring part of the reserve a few days ago, and they also only saw 2, so I suspect that it's only 2. But you can see what she's doing at the moment. You see how she's grooming this little one? They'll often groom quite heavily towards the back end of the little cub. And the reason why they do that is that they'll actually stimulate that little cub to go to the toilet. The grooming of the area under the tail, whether it's a boy or a girl, will actually kind of get them to start trying to actually go to the toilet and try and actually urinate. So, Jalal, I have absolutely no idea. Very difficult to sex lion cubs at this age. They're very, very small, and so seeing the difference between boys and girls is quite hard, especially if their tails are not up. And so what we're going to try and do is hopefully get a bit of a better view of them at some point, and then we would be able to tell if it's a boy or a girl. But like I say, we don't want to crash in there and drive too close where we're going to drive on top of her, because ultimately then she's going to move the den very quickly. So it's better just to stay back for now and wait. So, Denise, you're asking if there's any idea of how old Mom is. Sure, Denise, now I've got to remember, it's been a while since I've thought about Mom and how old she is. She is one of the older females within the pride. So if you give me 2 seconds, I should be able to find her age fairly quickly. I think she's now about 8 years, but I might be wrong. She's somewhere there. I'll just double check. I've got a cheat sheet somewhere on them. I'll get back to you now. I'll have to try and find it, and we'll kind of get back to her age now. But she is one of the older females within the pride. She comes from a pride of 10, which consists of 4 adult females, and then the rest are sub-adults. 2 are sub-adult males and 4 sub-adult females that are almost of breeding age. They're all around about 3 years old, and so they're going to be coming into breeding fairly soon, but they haven't as yet had cubs. Can you hear them? Little squeaks. There's one coming out. How cute is that? So, Kathy, they belong to a pride called the Nkuhuma pride, which is the dominant pride here in the Sabi, or the northern part of the Sabi Sand. They're an incredible pride, and the last time we saw little cubs from the Nkuhuma pride, on Juma was over a year ago, so it's been a very long time since we've seen cubs, and so it's nice to have little ones gracing our presence again. Now, the exciting thing about the Nkuhuma Pride at the moment is, I was saying to you that there's all these sub-adults. Oh, look at those little feet. Isn't that cute? It's playing with mom and trying to kind of bat mom, and you can see those little paws in the air. I know it's a bit difficult through all the branches, but very, very sweet to see. But the exciting thing about the Nkuhuma Pride at the moment is that we've had a new coalition of males come in over the last few months. And I say few months, it's almost a year now. But they are mating with pretty much all the females, and all the females are almost looking like some of them are pregnant, some have maybe given birth, and so we should get an explosion of little ones fairly soon, which will make the pride grow quite nicely. It's exciting when you've got this many kind of females that could come into estrus fairly soon, and then you'll get all the cubs kind of growing up together. And the last time the Nkuhumas had a really big batch of cubs was 4 different females that gave birth at the same time, and they all kind of then were able to raise them in almost a creche environment. And so hopefully that's going to be the case, because it's much easier to raise them if there's a lot of cubs than there is when it's just the 2 like this, especially in an area like this, which is a predator-rich environment with lots of other threats to them. Now, Marcel, I'm going to go a little bit forward for you, because there's a little bit of a branch there that Marcel's got, and I'm just going to try and see if I can go forward to give Marcel a slightly better view. I don't want to go too far because I've got a tree in front of me. That's much better, isn't it? There we go. So that's a much nicer view of the little ones, and you can see, look at that one on its back. Isn't that cute? It has got to be the cutest thing to watch little lion cubs. Now, Susan, when will they be introduced to the pride? So it's obviously, it's dependent, but generally we start to see that around sort of 10 to 12 weeks is when we start to see them kind of joining the pride more often. That's when there's a kill, and they'll be brought to the pride, eat with them, and then kind of be hidden again. And when they're actually walking with the pride, that's generally around sort of 4, 5, 6 months, depending on the lioness, that they're integrated into the pride, and they'll walk with them and then only kind of stay off when the lionesses hunt. When the lions have come back, then they carry on. But when they're still little like this, now they are what's called den sites. And so where we are at the moment is the perfect place. If Marcel comes out, you'll see what I'm talking about how thick it is and how lucky we are to be able to have spotted her here. The ability to track lions on foot and to try and kind of work out where they're gone is how we find them. And so where these cubs are being hidden is to the right of where she is at the moment. That left side there is a little bit more open, but to the right here you can see it becomes a wall of vegetation, and there is a termite mound that's got little holes in it with a tree that grows out, and that's where they're being stored. It's not a place they haven't used before. Lions, or the Nkuhuma Pride, have used this den site before, and it's why when we heard that they had come this way, that we checked here to try and find them. So Maria, lions change their dens quite quickly. They don't often sit for long periods in the same den. What you'll find with these guys is that they will typically try and move the den every probably week or 2 weeks, sometimes a little bit longer, sometimes a little bit less. The previous den to this, as far as we can establish, was only used for about a week, and she's now moved them across. So they were seen for the first time about a week ago, and then she's moved them across now to this den site here, where they kind of are moving around and onto our area where we can traverse, and so that's why we're seeing them for the first time this afternoon. But normally about a week, 2 weeks, depends obviously also how many cubs, if there's any threats that are around. So if hyenas find this den, if leopard walks past, if lions walk past, that's going to dictate how long she sticks out. Now, is that a little boy or a little girl? Lift your tail again. Oh, difficult to see. It looks like it might be a little girl. I don't see any testes, but at this age the testes are so small in a cub that it's very, very difficult to know whether or not they are boy or girl. You have to get a really clear view, but you can see mom's tail is the best game. Look at that. So special. And now she's being bugged by a branch, not only her cubs but a branch too. Right. Well, I hope that all of you enjoyed that very special, intimate look into a lioness's life. You've got to be very lucky to be allowed to be this close to lions with their little cubs, and she's been very accommodating to us. And so we're not going to overstay our welcome too much, but I hope that you enjoyed it. And remember, if you do want to carry on seeing how these little cubs grow, you can just Google Safari Live and join us as we continue the journey with them over the coming, hopefully, weeks, months, and years. But from myself and Marcel, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we look forward to seeing you all soon. Well, how special is this sighting? Now, what's basically happened is I've called in on the radio that we found them, because it's not fair to hide this from everybody. And so I spoke to Rex, and I said to Rex, already this morning I had an idea that they were here. So this morning when I went back, I spoke to Rex very kindly and said to him, listen, can we go this afternoon and check? And he said, sure. And he's basically entrusted us to see fit how we do this. And so what we're going to basically do with this sighting is the sighting will be a one vehicle sighting going forward. And I just confirmed it with Rex now, and basically going to have a situation where we're going to have a sort of 10 to 15 minute time limit per vehicle, with only one vehicle around at the time. And we're going to try and make it that it's only if the female is here, but that's what's going to happen. So we're not going to be here for that much longer. We'll probably spend a little bit longer, just because luckily we managed to find them, and Rex said we can take our time, but I don't want to deny others the chance to see tiny little cubs. It's a very special thing to be able to see this. Right, well, we'll sit here a little bit longer. In the meantime, though, let's send you across to Lauren, who's made her way to Chitwa Dam.
Well, we reached Chitwa, and bizarrely enough, of course, while you were all enjoying the little Nkahuma cubbies, a lot of hippos were all out the water. They were all standing in the sun, and I could not see exactly what they were doing. I didn't want to get too close, because hippos can be quite nervy. And of course, if I got too close, they would just go away. But indeed, in the end, they all just went back into the water. But it was really bizarre just to see a collection of maybe 10 to 15 hippos just standing out the water in the sun in this sort of late afternoon heat of today. It was very strange, but of course they have gone back into the water, and I have to say I'm rather jealous. Positions here on the dam wall, I would love to be in water, maybe not necessarily Chitwa Dam, but I would love to be immersed in water right now, just like these hippos are. I wonder what on earth they were doing outside the water. Due to their skin, they do need moisture. They do need the sort of wetness on their skin, not just to cool them down, but also for the actual skin themselves. It's extremely sensitive. And even although they've sort of got a thick layer of fat, if you like, and it would take a chainsaw to probably get through, they do require water for their skin, because it's such a fine epidermis, which makes it really extremely sensitive to dehydration, and I believe it's up to 7 times more sensitive than other mammals. And many of you are wondering if it's because the water is too cold. I really do not believe that. We came down the other morning on the sunrise safari, and even before the sun was really properly up, the hippos were in the water, and of course that's when the water will be the coldest. So on a day like today, the water would be ideal for them and very soothing. And oh, that noise never fails to entertain me. But no, I really don't believe that would have been the reason that they would have been out the water. It's not as if they were feeding, or I don't know, I can't possibly think what they were doing. I can hear the Egyptian geese calling. I can hear the fish eagle. Can't see it though. And slowly but surely, behind, not the best angle for Seb, we do have a male water buck making his way to the water. I think it's going to take some time for him though, because of course, excuse our aerial, it really is a terrible angle. Here we go, though. Of course, Seb managed it. The water bucks do get nervous because they know what lies in store for them on the banks of Chitwa Dam. And we did actually witness a male water buck right here the other day who walked past a very large croc with about 1.5 meters to spare. Of course, nothing happened to it. The croc wasn't fast enough and it was just a bit too far away, but it's not an easy task getting down to the dam. They know what potential threats lie in store for them. Now, hence the name, you will always find water bucks near water. They're heavily dependent on water, and the male, like this one here, sets up its territory around a water point. So this is probably this male's territory. Linda's saying, wow, those horns. I know, aren't they just glorious? He will come down if we wait here patiently, but it's definitely going to take some time. Yeah, the horns are absolutely fantastic. They're very different from other antelope species. Now, I do feel it's worth waiting out a little while here to see if anything else does come down to drink. A herd of impala were here earlier. It is the perfect day for animals to come down. I was hoping we would maybe see an elephant or two. It's been a while since I've seen an elephant in Chitwa Dam. And of course we have our regulars. Look at the way it's positioned. Is that my eyes? Or has it got its legs bent?
Oh.
I think it's got its little leggies bent.
Yeah.
Of course, we do know there is a couple, a male and female saddle-bill stork, so this is most likely one of them. So, as our water buck makes its way to the edge of the water very slowly and cautiously, we're going to send you guys back over to Tristan and the cubbies.
Well, as you can see, some are going for water, others are going for milk, and the two little cubs are still suckling there, and Mom is getting a chance to have a bit of a rest before she has to probably go out and try and see if she can find food. So the two little ones are just kind of tucked up there, and I'm sure they're suckling now because it's that time of the day with the sun slowly starting to come down, and they know they're going to get hidden soon, and they're going to be pushed into the den, and she's going to then go marching off, which is going to be good. Now, like I said to you earlier, I was explaining a little bit about den sites and how they work. At this age, they're very, very sensitive, and so the movement of cars and the constant driving around and things like that can very much disturb a lioness at a den site. And so you need to be very respectful, and there needs to be certain rules that are applied. And so how it will work, and it will affect obviously how we view these cubs over the course of the next few weeks, is that essentially these den sites, particularly this one, is in a very difficult to reach area in some respects. It's very thick, it's very dense, there's a lot of sensitive trees out here, and so we need to be quite careful about how we move it. So I was just speaking to Rex now quickly, and he was saying to me what he would like is rather, because Rex obviously looks after the Juma property in terms of the off-roading and those kind of things, and he was saying he'd like it to be just a one vehicle sighting that checks the den every day, and there's no rotation of vehicles after that, just for the next few days until such time as we kind of establish what's going on, exactly how things are working. But we're going to rotate out with one person today just to allow them to see, and basically what happens is the den is only allowed to be used or visited during daylight hours, so never at night. Just because hyenas often will move into this area, and that obviously is incredibly dangerous for little lion cubs, and so the point is to try and be here in the times that are least impactful on this lioness. She's obviously very relaxed, she's not growling at us, she's not hissing at us, which is perfect, and the cubs are very relaxed too, and we don't want to chase them or make them move around, because ultimately all that's going to do is just disturb this entire area, and she's just going to move the cubs again, and she might move them off our property, and we're right in the corner of our property. So if we play our cards right, hopefully she'll stick around here for a few days and a few weeks, and maybe move them deeper into Juma. So we'll just have to kind of see how it goes. But like I say, the respect is the sort of name of the game, and it's why we're not going to be staying for much longer at all. We're going to be moving out after we're done with this segment, because like I say, we're going to let one other person see, and then it's going to be closed off for the evening for her to have her peace and quiet with her little ones. And it's very, very special, though, that we have little Nkuhuma cubs. I always love the fact that we do. And once they get a little bit older, once they start reaching sort of 3 months, then you can start rotating vehicles through fairly quickly. And it's not a huge train smash as to how many vehicles come through. And they're a lot more mobile at that point. But initially, when they're small like this, and particularly because she moved them this morning to this den, you don't want to overpressure a place that she's just moved them to, because otherwise she's just going to move them again somewhere else. But look at that. Isn't that sweet? Ridge nose. Well done, my girl. Very, very good. Now, a lot of you are asking where the den is. In relation to her, or in terms of where on Djuma, or in terms of, it's obviously different things. But basically we're in the northwest corner of Djuma. We're actually not far from the Gari Gates area. So kind of northwest of the camp, not far from Sydney's Dam, Gari Gates, Simambili, that kind of corner there that we're in. And so it's an area that is tricky to negotiate, and finding her this morning was no mean feat. I had a hunch that she might be coming to this exact spot, and so it's why we checked here. But Craig spotted her from a mile away, and as you can see, less than ideal terrain. So got very, very lucky to have been able to see her. Oh, that is cute, though. They are very sweet little things, that's for sure. Very, very cute. Now, I'm not sure if anyone got a screenshot of that one with its little tail up to see if it's a boy or a girl, but I didn't get to see nicely. Judy, normally at about 3 months is when the cubs are starting to eat meat. So, probably in about 6 weeks' time, I would imagine. I say 6 weeks. It's a rough guess, just based on size and spots and the mobility and those kind of things. They might be a little bit older. It could be 6 to 8 weeks. That would be my guess. I showed we've had a look between all of us at pictures that were posted by Simambili this morning, and we all agreed around that age. And seeing them in person, I suspect that that's about how old they are. They grow quite quickly, and so this would be the rough sort of age that I would put them at. They're at their cutest at this phase, though, for me. I always think that fluffy little cubs like this are the cutest things in the whole world. And what's really nice to see is that they are completely relaxed. When I drove in here, when we first got here, Mom was asleep, and we actually drove fairly close because I didn't expect the little cubs to be lying so far from Mom, and they just looked at me as though there was nothing in the world that was wrong at all. And so that's a really good sign that they are not too stressed about things, and that's good going forward. So it's all going to be good, and I think we're going to have lots of memorable sightings of these little ones. Well, I hope so, and I hope that the Nkuhuma pride continues to grow. Good. We're going to leave these two. In the meantime, though, we're going to send you to another of the favorites here on Djuma, and that is Jamie with the little chief.
And he was also very, very cute when he was a little cub. But I do agree with Tristan, those tiny baby lion cubs at that age, especially with that little sound that they make, the ow, ow, ow sound is just, it tugs at one's heartstrings. It brings back memories of a time when the Nkuhuma was denning. Which Nkuhuma was it now? Jeepers, I can't even remember. Just to the eastern side of Buffelshoek Dam, which is where we are now. And the three females gave birth almost at exactly the same time. Ridge-nosed, the purple-eyed lioness, and then the oldest lioness who died recently. They all gave birth. One gave birth on Torchwood, one gave birth here, and one gave birth, the oldest lioness gave birth around Galago Pan, just to the north of that. And the only one that we really had, the only den site we really had access to was the one that was here, just to the north of this drainage line. I remember many times creeping in there slowly just to have a look with the car and see the little movement of the little ones. I'm excited because I think that it's not just going to be the ridge-nosed female. We're going to see lots more little babies shortly. Hosana has shifted out of his incredibly uncomfortable looking position. Now his father, or at least his likely father, as you know, I recently collected a nice fresh pile of scat to test that theory. But Tingana is just to the north of us in Buffelshoek, very, very close to the... I'm just going to turn this down slightly. Tristan's just giving instructions as to where to drive if there are any vehicles that do want to see the cubs. But he's very, very close to where Hosanna is now, and I suspect before the night is over, Tingana is going to come back down towards Buffel's Hook. I think already he's moved from where he was this morning. I know Rexon's busy searching for him, so we might just have a little bit of father-son interaction. Now apparently many of you asking if Hosanna has had any further interaction with Pretty the hyena. I don't think so. I mean, unless she's brought some sort of court case against him, I think that he is probably in the clear there. So no, I don't think that they've had any interaction. Who knows? We don't know what goes on in the middle of the night out here. So perhaps he has, and I'd have absolutely no doubt that that is not the last interaction that he's going to have with a hyena. For those of you that missed it, although I sincerely doubt there are too many people in the dark anymore, he tackled Pretty as she very smugly came trotting through the open area outside of our camp, carrying a very large piece of skin with a little bit of meat still attached to it. And this hyena came trotting along, and he basically used the pure element of surprise to shoot out, grab the kill from her, and climb a tree before she'd even had a chance to gather her wits. No, I don't think he's had any further interaction, at least not that we know of. But I'm sure that she's fine, he's fine, and he's just very lucky that animals actually can't bring court cases, otherwise she could sue him for assault and theft. Mind you, I'm pretty sure he would have a very solid counterclaim. I think I've got your name right, but I might be completely off. Creepy Ori would like to know whether or not leopards will ever hunt smaller big cats. Yes, they absolutely do. Hi, guys. They do hunt smaller big cats. 3P, not creepy. I'm sorry. I'll get there eventually. What was I talking about? Oh, yes, they do hunt smaller cats. They've been known to catch wildcats. Hosanna himself has caught a wildcat before. Oh, it's my little friend, the little boy who said hello to all the lions last night. That was so cute. Hello. Oh, man. It was so, so sweet. I think he just said hello, kitty, again. I think it was Tunny. Oh, hello, Tunny. Was it hello, Tunny again? He's the only boy in the world that gets away with calling me Tunny. What was I talking about? Oh, I've also seen pictures of leopards in trees with dead cheetah. So yes, they do. They will kill lion cubs. If they happen to find lion cubs unattended, you'll find that with all of the predators. There's an element of competition. And as a result, what they'll do is they will, if they can, they will remove any of the young if possible. Kenya's young cheetah cubs actually survived a leopard attack not too long ago. It must have been a year ago now, while we were filming the Gauntlet series. All right, well, since Hassan has been thoroughly thrilling at the moment, we're going to let him snooze away uninterrupted, and we'll send you across to Lauren in the meantime. Bye.
Well, we have found a very large croc sunbathing, shall we say, and that is literally what it is doing, basking on the banks in the sun, trying to heat up, of course, because he or she is a reptile. And talking of gender, male and female crocodiles actually have internal sex organs, so it makes it very, very difficult to actually, from where we are looking, tell them apart from the sort of, well, external morphological features alone. Now, unless you're conducting a really close inspection, it's almost impossible to tell, because crocodiles actually have a vent. This is also known as a cloacal slit, and this is where the sex organs are sort of kept inside, which you would not get to see unless you get very, very close to them. Now, they do say that sort of males have a thicker tail, well, a tail base, they're stronger built, and they do grow larger. But unless you're actually looking at a comparison of the two, it's very difficult to tell just from what we're looking at right now. So it's only really when males are ready to mate that their actual penis extends out of the vent and it is inserted into the female's vent. So it's only really when they're mating that you sort of can get a better indication of who's male and who's female. And his testes actually do remain inside the body at one time. So unless you've got a male and female croc of the same age lying on the bank like this, it's really difficult to tell. Safari lovers asking about the water sources. So Seb's given you a beautiful view of Chitwa Dam, and you can see right here where we're looking right now used to be filled with water. And that sort of tree that's at a very odd angle now right in the middle here. Oh, and that one, yep, Seb, and that one. Those used to be islands, if you like, and they were just a tiny little mound of land sticking out of the water. And as you can see, it's all dry land now. So Chitwa Dam definitely has the most water out of all the dams that we traverse. It's the largest. And it's still got a lot of water in there. It's relatively deep. And it's still definitely got enough water to last us a while. However, the other dams are not looking so great. We did drive past twin dams on the way here. And it's safe to say that it's completely dry. Treehouse is okay. Buffalo's Hook, I'm sure... I think that's where Hosanna is, so maybe Jamie could possibly give you a view if that's where he is. So yes, the water is getting more and more scarce as we sort of progress into winter. And look at the fish eagle flying, he's coming right towards us. Oh, he's going to land right there. Nice one, Seb. Look at that. Just landed right ahead of the car. Doesn't look necessarily very comfortable, I have to say. It doesn't look too comfy there to see. Wow. I love these birds. And of course, they're very iconic. If you come down to Chitwa and you don't hear the fish eagle call, then something's wrong. I was kind of hoping it would maybe call and we could hear it. Now, I personally find identifying birds of prey and raptors quite difficult. You really have to focus on the features in order to work out exactly which bird it is, or you could potentially make a wrong ID. Yes, Janet, I agree. Gorgeous creature. Totally agree with you. So you have to be really, really careful and just make sure you go through the key identification features before you sort of make can't see where that noise came from. The Egyptian geese, but I can't see them. So yes, when it comes to the fish eagle, I mean, you can't miss it. You really can't miss this bird. It's very iconic. It's very distinctive, of course, with the clashing of the white head and the brown body, if you like. And like many of the birds of prey, the females are bigger than the males. So when you see a monogamous pair together, you should technically be able to work out who's male and who's female just by looking at the size. But you would only be able to do that when they're actually together. Looking at it like this is very, very difficult. Oh my goodness, if I can use my hands to show everyone how big. Well, you see how far away it is from us. It's actually hippos. It's very, very far away. So this is going to be a bit tricky, I think. I would estimate in height, now this is not wingspan, in height, I would say the fish eagle is about this. What do you think, Seb?
Yeah, a little bit more.
A little bit more?
A bit more, like, yeah.
I hope that helps. But in terms of wingspan, it's got a very, very, very large wingspan. I can actually check on my bird app. I do have the bird app, and it gives you the exact wingspan to the exact measurement. So let's see if I can find this somewhere in here. It says they weigh up to 2.5 kilograms, so that's how heavy they are. 2.5 kilograms would be just over 5 pounds. I can't see the Oh, and the females can actually go up to 3 kilograms. Oh, there you go, which is well over about 6.4 pounds, I think. That could be completely wrong. I think the height, can go up to 75 centimeters according to this app, which is just under a meter. So about between 2 to 2.5 feet. I Love Snacks is saying, wow, that is big. It is. It's a big eagle. Of course, very difficult to judge from here, but it is a very, very powerful and big eagle. That huge beak there is extremely powerful, as well as the talons. They use both when they're sort of hunting. So they are big, very, very large. And of course, they do eat predominantly fish, but I didn't need to tell you that. And apparently they're actually capable of lifting prey about 2 kilograms out of the water. So they've got the strength. I think the question from Crystal is, how does it see fish?
Yeah, from where it is.
Yeah, from where it is, basically. They have very, very keen eyesight, for sure. So like many of the birds that eat fish, including your seabirds in different climates, they're actually able to see the fish underneath the water from being high up and having quite a sort of vantage point up there. They're able to see the reflection and the glimmer of the fish underneath the water. And then it takes a lot of dedication, swift movement and agility to actually go down there and use their talons to be able to quickly grab the fish and get it out the water as soon as possible. And the fact that they're able to grab fish that are really, really, really heavy, almost pushing on their body weight, shows you the sort of size of the eagle and the strength it has in those wings. Now, of course, it wants to get the fish out the water as soon as possible because, well, as you know, fish don't survive out of the water, so it's much more of an advantage for it to get it. And sometimes fish eagles are even known to drop the fish on land until it dies. We have a question, is this the only species of fish eagle in South Africa? And I believe so. It's called the full name is actually the African fish eagle. So we have many different raptors out here, but I believe this is the only species of fish eagle that we have in this area. And it is found throughout the continent as well. It's not just sort of localized to where we are right now. And it's just a glorious, glorious bird. I can start to feel the temperatures getting marginally cooler now. Just marginally, it's getting a little bit sort of easier. So as that sun goes down, I think it's going to be a really good idea to actually keep an eye on the dam to see who comes down for a drink. I love how Faith prioritised Hosanna there. So as we just hang around the dam a little bit longer, we're going to send you across to Hosanna.
Hosanna sitting next to the dried up area of Buffelshoek Dam. This is the drainage line that feeds, or one of the drainage lines that feeds into Buffelshoek Dam itself. And I'm actually amazed. I've come down into the drainage line and I found that I actually have signal here, which I did not expect at all. So at least we've managed to get a view that's not the back of his head. And our little prince is starting to stir. You can see his head's up, he's listening. Oh, big neck stretch. Starting to look quite distinguished, actually. Nice big yawn. I think there's a good chance he's going to get up. But no, oh, I was going to say he might not necessarily go for a drink. Another big cat stretch. Listen here, buddy. Don't you be going to Buffelshoek itself now. I know that's where your dad is, but you can just stay here and make yourself comfortable. And please, please, let's not do that trip again between Buffelshoek East and Hippo Pools Road. It's where his father took me before the last TV show. I know, Lindsay, I was just saying this to Craig. Lindsay says that the world is... Oh, he's coming back up to where you were. I was just saying to Craig, it's nice to be a leopard of Hosanna's age. He's pretty secure in himself now. He isn't too threatened by much, and he's fast, and he doesn't have to worry about territorial patrols. He doesn't have to worry about the attentions of females or guarding the territory against interloping males. He really has a pretty nice life. I mean, he's still got to find his food and everything. But yes, the whole world is Hosanna's armchair. And boy, does he take advantage of it. Okay, we better get going. Let's go see if we can catch up with him. No. Let's be a good boy and not go north. Let's not really go west either. Hold on. Bit of a tricky spot. Oh. Just don't want to throw us off a cliff face here. Okay. Ah, marvelous news. The Mara's been battling off some gremlins, but up and running, and James would love to be presented with the opportunity to say good afternoon.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Maasai Mara. As you can see, it's a bit inclement, the weather today. Nearly drove off the road, sorry about that. We've had endless troubles this afternoon, that is why we're very late, so my apologies for that. And what we're doing is driving a little bit around the north of the Mara Triangle, and then we're going to go back to the Pride, because they're still with their buffalo kill. But at the moment I counted 15 vehicles at the sighting, and I thought, well, getting into a lineup of 15 was possibly not something I'd like to do, so I haven't. But luckily, the Juma crew has kept you all entertained with a lot of action, including 2 brand new little cubs, which is very exciting. I can see an effluent. Well, I'll get you into a position when Jondry can show you an effluent. Can you see the effluent, Jondry? The camera will not see the effluent. Well, it might make 2 pixels or so. Oh, you have a rain flap in the way. No, I mean, we're not... Is that an elephant? It is. Yes. I thought maybe for a second it was a black rhinoceros, but it is not. So I hope you're all enjoying those new little cubbies. I'm sure you are. Well, you say, when was I last out in the rain? The last time I was in the Maasai Mara, actually. It rains here quite a lot. It's supposed to be the dry season now, but the dry season has failed to arrive. There it is, Jandre. Best I can do, I'm afraid, in the current conditions. Yeah, it's not the best, I know. You will now hear the soft pitter-patter of rain. You will be able to see the mist in the background. Pitter-patter of rain sounds like it might become something slightly more substantial, which will result in my becoming miserable. Young bull, looks like, on his own, having a Sunday afternoon mope. Apparently you can hear some frogs on the ambient microphone, which makes the ambient microphone more effective than my ears, because I certainly can't hear any frogs. Can you, John?
Yes, I could hear a little bubbling.
You heard a bubbling behind us. Yes, down in the way in the distance. Quite a lot of crickets, sort of insect sound. Andre still has consumption, as you can hear.
Apologies.
Look how wet that elephant bull is. He looks a little bit sad. Ian, are you looking for a GPS location, a rough estimate? Which zebras exactly are you speaking about? I don't know where the zebras are. I mean, I imagine there are some at Djuma. They are probably quite a few herds of the... you mean the vanguard of the migration? They'll be with the wildebeest down near the Sand River, where the Sand River crosses into the Serengeti, and possibly just south of that, around the Lamai Wedge. So that's probably where the zebra are in. We have seen a few here. Some of them are resident here all year round, and we did see a few of them today. We're going to continue now, and in the meantime, let us go back to Tristan, who is unfortunately now driving. I suspect he's had to vacate that sighting on account of many others wanting to be in it.
I am, James. I'm driving in the hope of finding something for our TV show tonight, because I'm afraid, as much as our little lion cubbies are cute and they'll be there, we're not allowed to use them because it's going to be dark and we don't want to upset mom and cubs, and so we'll leave them there. But I did find tracks, unfortunately, for what I think is Columba from maybe last night when she finished her scrub here going north into Buffelshoek. But there's been francolins and squirrels and all kinds of things making a lot of noise outside of Gallagher the whole day today. So what I want to do is just come and have a little scratch here and just check. Maybe she turned and came back again, and she's done exactly like what she did with Lauren yesterday, where she appeared out of thin air yesterday afternoon. So let's hope. It could have also been Tundi's tracks that I followed. It's very difficult now with the two of them. They're both so close in terms of size of track that it's a bit tricky. But it seems Gallagher Pan is empty at this stage. You've got to be very lucky to find a leopard at Gallagher Pan, unless it's Hosanna, because generally what happens with them is that they are very, very, very kind of quicker. They drink and then they go. So you've got to be there within that 10-minute gap when they are around. Oh, wait, I'm going the wrong way. Sorry, Marcel. I have to drive this way so I can see the tracks if anything has come to drink during the day, and make sure that I don't miss any track for a leopard. Seems sad that our buffalo weren't here today. They drank at Sydney's this morning, so I don't know where they went this afternoon, but they were at Sydney's Dam this morning. Anything here? Anything here? No, no. No, 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 no tracks. All right, well, it was worth a try. From here, we'll probably head towards Buffelshoek Cutline, see if Tingy's come back. In the meantime, let's send you across to Jamie, who has a spotted cat.
We're not far from Buffelshoek Cutline, although substantially further to the east than where Tristan is at the moment. And Hosanna has heard something moving about in the vegetation. I don't know what it is he's heard. I can't see and I can't hear. It could easily be a herd of impala. Oh, so many herds in one sentence. Coming across and through to the dam for a drink. If he is kind, he will stay on this massive path that Scuba Steve has created for us, which will allow us to follow him. It moves between Hyena Road and Buffelshoek Dam. If he is unkind, he is going to take us into probably one of the most difficult areas on Djuma. The same area where we had that buffalo hunt many, many moons ago, where Jandre and myself ended up decidedly stuck, trying to... Oh, okay, we're going to sleep. He's not going to sleep. He is actually... This is Hosanna's hunting technique. It's the hunting technique of most leopards. Walk till they'll see something, and they lie down, and they just wait. And they bide their time, and they rely upon their camouflage to hide them away until the animals move closer, rather than trying to risk making a noise creeping up on them. And so we sit and so we wait. Hosanna, if you're going to do some moving, could we do it now while it's still light? Craig and I have a history of pre-TV following leopards through very interesting places. When we arrive back slightly disheveled, or we arrive at the start of the TV show slightly disheveled, often without the leopard itself. I wonder why he decided to move. He must have heard something interesting in there. You can see he is alert. Now looking around, So these game paths that we're looking at the moment, they obviously become more and more prominent the closer to water you get. So an area like Buffelshoek Dam, which is one of the main sources of water, will have multiple paths radiating out in different directions that the hippos use and that the elephants help to maintain as well. But it also means that other animals will use them. So much like a hiking trail or a road, it's easy for them to walk along here. There's less obstacles, it's clearer, it's more comfortable for them. So they tend to utilize them. That might be what he's hoping for. He's arrived at a sort of a bend in the game path itself. And maybe he's hoping that something's going to come wandering round the corner on their way to the water. Herbie tells me that we just missed a honey badger when we came in to see Hosanna this afternoon. So it's probably our honey badger friend who has been quite the regular at Buffelshoek Dam itself. Welcome to Clem, who is a new viewer and who says, OMG, those animals are so lazy, what is wrong with them? And the answer to that really is that there's actually nothing wrong with them. They can be phenomenally active and physically could outpace you, and I don't know you, so forgive me for this, but perhaps you are a mixed martial arts fighter, or maybe you are a participant in the world's strongest man or woman competition. Perhaps you compete in Ironman. But no matter what, no matter how fit you are, these animals can outpace you. What they're doing at the moment is conserving energy because they don't have regular meal times. Speaking of an animal that does have a regular meal time, well, elephants simply never stop eating throughout the day, which presumably could be what the elephant is doing with James at the moment.
Right here we've got some more elephants here, which is of course very lovely indeed. It looks like a very, very old cow and her youngster. You see how her bones are all sticking out and her face is a little bit long and hanging. I think they do look slightly older here than they do at Djuma, for example, or in the Kruger, because they do tend to be more angular. They're not quite as round as the ones down south. But I think this is an old cow. You can see her shoulders sticking out, her hips. When we have a look at her hips there, Jondry. Thank you. She's still got a belly on her. I wonder if she's not pregnant again. No, up at the top. There. That's the swelling there. If she's pregnant. Difficult to tell with that uniform colour. You can hear a jackal calling. I'm sure she's raised many youngsters, this old cow, and that's her latest offering to the world. Hungry little fellow, out for a Sunday walk with his mum. Well, many of you complimenting the Ellie's long lashes. Yes, they do have long lashes, don't they, from very early on. And I'm sure much like the giraffe, simply to protect the eyes when they get into the thorny stuff and start eating that. We were asked yesterday if they get cold, and I'm sure they must be cold today. Robin, I don't think there's a mass difference between Kruger elephants and Mara elephants. I'd say that mass must be pretty similar. I just think they look a different shape. The ones in Kruger seem to be rounder somehow, less angular, less pointy bits, or fewer pointy bits, and more round bits. I don't know if that makes sense. Also, the tusks in the Kruger tend to be thicker, but not quite as long as they are here. Let's have a look at her backside now, Jean-Andre, a little higher up. Yeah, you see that swelling on the right? I would say that she is pregnant again. I used to say that elephants go into menopause. They don't, of course. We know that now. Possibly a sort of year or two before they die, they're unable to breed. They don't have an actual menopause. Safari lover, you're wondering how long they're pregnant for? Well, 22 months, if you can believe it. Almost 2 years. Elephants will be pregnant, carrying a child. I know women who really struggle for, longer than 3 months to carry a child. Imagine it was 22 months. I don't blame them, mind you. I'm very grateful that I will never have to carry a child in my belly. And it's interesting because, of course, the fetus is pretty well developed in a baby elephant. And their long gestation period, I suspect, allows for quite a lot of brain development, much like it does with human beings. I find the gestation of humans and the development of humans and the slowness with which human beings develop absolutely astounding. It really is quite remarkable how helpless a human being is for many, many years after it's born. Whereas an elephant, of course, will suckle certainly for a long time, but can stand immediately. Jeff, elephants probably live to around about 65 years old. Remember that they they get their final set of teeth somewhere around, I think it's about 57 years or so. And thereafter, when those teeth wear out, they eventually sort of slowly starve to death. So 65 is probably around about a good age. Much like many of these statistics that we give you, very few elephants have been followed in the wild from the day they were born until the day they die. And so a lot of the information we have comes from guesses or inferences. And those will not be from a substantial number of individuals, I don't imagine. They're probably around 65 years, we think. I wonder if he is cold, standing in this drizzle. I certainly would be. I'd complain bitterly if I was him to my mother. Ask her to take me somewhere sheltered and warm. Yes, Daniel, they do. Like all mammals, birth is not always successful. They will certainly have premature births and stillborns. But remember, it's probably much less dangerous than it is for human beings. In fact, we know it is. I'm just going to reverse slightly, John G, because there's a car coming. Remember, human beings, of course, are not very well designed for giving birth because of the angle of our hips. And so human beings have to give birth through the birth canal goes between the hips, whereas on most quadrupedal on all quadrupedal mammals, that doesn't happen. They give birth sort of above the hips. And so it's not nearly as dangerous for baby or mother in most other mammals. And so the incidence of things like stillbirths and parturition difficulties and breech births and that sort of thing will be much less, I imagine. Okay, we're going to turn around now and try and head back towards where the pride is. See if we can find them. You're going to go back to Lauren, who I think is on Chitwa.
So we left Chitwa. We did a little loop around there just in case anything else was happening. Oh, we have a person there. Hello. Not what I expected. We actually just stopped the vehicle because the impala were going crazy. Now, it sounded like alarm calls, but I think it could just be the males being a bit boisterous and the rutting season is over, but they may still have sort of excess testosterone pumping around their body, as males do. I don't think it was anything, but it was very, very noisy. A lot of rapid, constant alarms. Just hope we're not missing anything. But we are going to head back onto Juma now, just nice and slowly, and see if anything is happening on that side of the world. Okay, I really do think it was the males just being boisterous now, but for a minute there I thought it was alarm calls. Whew. Now, I've had no updates on the sticks, but I've been on the Eastern channel, so I've not been on Juma radio channel, so I do wonder if there's anything I may have missed. But there's a high potential that they crossed out and crossed onto an area that we can't traverse. You can just see the sun is setting now. MGM is asking, where would the crocs go when the water dries up in the dam? Well, same as the hippos, they both essentially rely on the water. They do need to be close to a water source. So if Chitwa Dam was to dry up completely, then I imagine they would just relocate to another water source. They're both mobile, they can survive without water. They're not like a fish, you know, they can walk about. It's very funny when you see crocodile tracks on the road somehow. I don't know why it's funny, but it is to me. And I'm just thinking maybe we should go up the Mowati for a bit. Yes, let's try it. So yes, they will just get out the water and go find another water point. They will know where that is. And of course there are areas around here that do have water all year round. So they do require the water, but they can survive, of course, without it. And because it is winter, it would have sort of more of an effect on the crocodiles, MGM, than it would on the hippos, because the hippo's skin wouldn't be so badly affected by the sun's rays because they're not quite as intense as they are in summer. So we've just taken a little corner here into the Mowati, because this is generally where things like to hang out when it's hot. And of course the sun is going down, but I think it's definitely worth a little look to see what we can see inside here. This would have been an actual ideal hidey hole for the sticks as well, because they were just over there at Twin Dams, kind of, just there. So they could have easily have just came in here and got shade in the Mowati. So as we bumble onwards through this dry riverbed, we're going to send you guys across to Tristan for an update.
Hopefully Lauren will have some luck with the sticks as well as maybe with something else down that side. Mowati is always a good place to check. We checked Gallagher for a little bit. I'm sure there's going to be a leopard at some point between Gallagher and Vuyatela Pan. Maybe it will be Hosanna by the end of the evening as he makes his way that way. I'm not sure. But now I have a feeling that there's going to be Tandi or Tlalamba that's also going to show up there at some point tonight as well. But anyway, what we're doing is we're just driving Buffalo's cut line because Tingana hasn't been found where he was left this morning. And we know Tingi likes Buffalo's Dam area, and so just gonna kind of have a little scratch, and failing that we're going to head straight down Cheetah Cut Line and then onto the fire break and check if we can maybe relocate on Sabui, who probably has been moving for a while already, but you never know, maybe she's gets seen and we get lucky. So that's the kind of plan for now, and just take it as it comes. Anything that comes our way will be good. We've had a fine afternoon already. It's been very pleasant to have spent time with little lion cubs, and while it's not really ideal in terms of our TV show story, it is pretty cool nonetheless. So I'm quite happy with life, and we'll scrounge something out for TV show. We generally do, so we'll see how that goes. And otherwise, Jamie and James will just have to hold the fort, I'm afraid. That's kind of how it goes. Shazam, you must be a fairly new viewer. Yes, there are primates in this area, and there are baboons. So there's baboons and vervet monkeys and bush babies that are around. We're quite thankful at the moment that we're not seeing many baboons, because the baboons have got to be the hardest animal out here to live with. The monkeys are at an all-time bad at the moment. They have lost all fear of anything and are constantly berating the kitchen staff and kind of causing havoc by trying to jump in and grab food. And in fact, they're even grabbing food right off tables in front of people. Yesterday afternoon, Lauren was sitting on her phone and there was a carrot that was not more than 20 centimeters from her face, and the vervet monkey stole the carrot and ran off. And I can sympathize, because there's not very much food for them at this time of the year. They obviously desperate to try and find a meal, and so that's what they're looking for, is any sort of sign of food. But yes, baboons and vervet monkeys, and then I said bush babies, so two different species of them, lesser and greater, thick-tailed or lesser is the other names. So they also occur here too. Am I forgetting any other monkeys? No, I don't think so. No, that's it. Sometimes you got to just double check yourself, because especially when there's obscure things that could be around, but that's it. It's the 4 primates. Prattville, pangolins seen in the wild? Not often, I'm afraid. Depends where you are, I suppose, actually. It depends in which part of the world you are. Some areas pangolins are seen a lot more than others. In this particular area, not at all. I mean, we've only had one pangolin in almost 12 years of wild Earth's existence. So that gives you an idea of how rare they are here. In the Mara, a little bit more common. We only have had one on camera, but Manu has seen 2 there, and there's various other sightings of them, quite a few in that area. If you go to where Jamie's just been in Swalu, they see pangolins almost every second, third day. And in fact, even they've got a research project going there, because pangolins there are much easier to find, and they've tagged a whole bunch of the pangolins so they can actually follow their movements, try and learn more about their mating, their pupping, their dietary habits. So there's a really good place to go look for pangolins. So it just depends. There's various areas, and it's always a rare find. It's never an animal that can ever be guaranteed. And unfortunately, in the Sabi Sands, it's once in a very, very, very big blue moon that you will find such things. Did Hosanna cross out? Is Jamie still with Hosanna, Faith? There's a leopard track here. Not very fresh, I'm afraid. I thought for a second there it might have been Hosanna's track, but I mean, this is where Tingana was seen. It was straight north of us here. There's a road that's going to go to the left, and he was seen there lying down. Now there's a pan not too far from there, so I'm hoping rather than drinking there, he's going to move southwards and come do territorial patrol, maybe drink at Buffelshoek Dam and then carry on. And so that's why I'm here at the moment, is in case he moves. It's this time of the day that Tingy likes to take a little trundle. Tingy's Trundle. That sounds like a bar name somewhere in the world, maybe in the UK. Anyway, while we kind of figure out if he's crossed over and just check around this area, let's send you back across to James and the Mara and see how he's getting on and if he's had any luck.
We are driving back towards the lions now, and we'll hopefully have sight of them sometime fairly soon. I'm not sure that this weather's going to close in any more than it has already, so that's quite nice. I'd like to demonstrate one of the supreme technological advances that this particular vehicle exhibits. It is called, and I'm sure most of you will be so amazed by this, it's called a Windscreen Wiper. Isn't that amazing? And it is what it says. It wipes the windscreen. It's incredible. Watch this. Isn't that amazing? Automatically. And we just affixed it to this car. We found it in the dashboard, and with a screwdriver and a pair of pliers, we hammered it on, and it astoundingly actually removes the water from the windscreen. Now, I know that this, for many of you, will be slightly astounding, and I feel almost bad about revealing it, because I feel I could have made quite a lot of money off this remarkable thing that I have found in this vehicle. I don't know who invented it, why it took so long to put on the Land Rover, or why it is that it moves with such ponderous speed. But anyway, there it is. Very exciting indeed. It's been certainly the find of my afternoon. The second find is these elephants on the left, which we will stop and look at. Because I'm sure most of you are greatly amazed by this invention of the windscreen wiper. I also think the name is quite clever because it tells you exactly what it is. It was almost certainly not named by an ornithologist. Right, Chandra, I will now park you in a position to look at these elephants. There you are. There's a very small one over there. That's the one I think we should look at. That wasn't the small one there. There's a very smaller one even still with its mummy just to the left of that one. But that one wasn't bad. There we are. Very nice. Painted wolf, yes. I suppose they do. I mean, most elephants starve to death when they lose their molars. Some will die of disease, of course, and some will die of being killed by other elephants or that sort of thing. But otherwise, yes, is that a lion? Go back, left. Back, left.
Where's behind it?
Yes, there's a lion. I had no idea what was going on there. Let me move forward a bit because she's running now. She's trying to get away from the elephants. I'm sure she's going towards the kill. That was most amusing. Just saw a flash of this thing lying under the tree. I thought, this is odd. There she is. But the vehicle's cleared off, Jean-Ray. It is closing time in the park, but I also suspect it's the lions have absconded. Hello, my dear. It's lovely to see you. If you could lie close to a row, that would be wonderful. Thank you. There we are. One of the low pride lions, I'm assuming. Yes, she's calling. You won't be able to hear her above the wind. All right, well, I think we should go around and see if we're there. There's a male coming towards her. A big black maned male and a female. You see them there, John? Well done. That's very nice. That's a magical picture. Now, luckily, they are in an off-roading zone, but I won't be able to follow them from here. We'll have to go around. I'm going to suggest, while they're standing up, that we do just that we don't wait here, because, unfortunately, we are losing light, and we need to get around there if we are going to have any chance of finding them off-road. While we do this, we'll send you back to Lauren, who is now with the Stykes Pride, I believe. Thank you. We'll just go. Don't worry about that.
Lions to lions, Henry to Arthur, we located the Styx Pride, and honestly, they are exactly opposite where they were earlier. They are still on Twin Dams, right in the middle of the road. I mean, if you were driving down this road, this is nothing short of a epic roadblock. They've slept all day. Just like we said this morning, they were obviously very full. It was a very hot day. I think I've mentioned that possibly about 20 times now. I do apologise. So, of course, it makes sense for the cats to be flat. Now, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I think, at the minute. But there should be 9. So I'm more than sure another... Oh, no, I just see another one moving in the grass there. Okay, I'm sure there is 9 around here. And it is getting to that time of night when cats do start to wake up. We do know this now. It's much cooler. The sun's not quite down yet, but it's much, much, much cooler. I'm even considering putting my scarf on. They're all awake. They're starting to groom. They're starting to itch. A lot of them still look very, very itchy, which is rather sad. And yeah, I imagine very shortly these lions are going to be highly mobile, which will be very interesting. And I hope they don't cross over into a boundary that we can't traverse. I hope we can follow them, because this will be the first time that I think they would be seen on SABC. So we've got a bunch of females here, but it looks like Mr. Hendry has a male. Let's go up to the Mara.
We do indeed have a male lion. It's the same male lion. We've come around to the side and we can see the other one in front of us still on that buffalo carcass, and so we'll stop and have a look at this chap. There's a nice view of him there. We might try and drive off-road here. Chandra, do you want to try?
Definitely.
You do? All right, well, be it on your head when we get stuck. We shouldn't get stuck here. Andre said he wanted to be much closer and round the other side. So I said that's what I'd do for him. Fortunately, these kitties are going to go to sleep. Now, everyone, these are the Kichwa males in consort with the Ololololololololo pride. Ooh, they might start mating. I think we might have a mating pair here, everybody. Ah, yes, this is the chap who's lost the end of his tail. I forget what his name is. I think it's Half-Tail, something equally imaginative. This is a proper lion, this. I feel like this lion would eat one of the Avoca males for breakfast. He's obviously much older. There he goes, jogging after her. He's decided the smell of her urine indicates that she is perhaps receptive to mating. He has not picked up on the fact that she's leaving because she is not receptive to mating. And elephants in the background. A lot of you saying that I am going to get stuck. Well, a pox on all of you. And to those who don't think I'm going to get stuck, well, thank you. That's a very pretty picture, Andre. So you don't have to be up the thing's backside to get a good shot. But we are going to have to move fairly soon. They are going straight back to the kill, though. So let's go back there. Hello, my dear. We're going to follow that lot, if you don't mind, because you're just sitting still. Good. All right, well, we catch up with the lions and their kill using this remarkable piece of equipment. Let us go back to Jamie and the little chief.
Speaking of catching up, that's exactly what I've been doing to try and keep up with Hosanna. As you can see from the front of our car, and the rest of us. And Craig and myself have been through some interesting terrain to attempt to follow him. Oh, all right, that tree will spring right back up behind us, but I'm very careful about which species of tree we do that to. Where did he just go? Is he there? Oh, yes, there he is. Oh, he's a bit further ahead than I thought. So he just took us through something that I would not consider to be fun. He took us through 2 drainage lines, one of which we very nearly lost him in. He stopped to look at a scrub here and disappeared into some dense vegetation, but that's okay, we've managed. It's also not an area where we have much signal, so it's great that he's continued up onto this crest. Hey boy, he's hungry. He's really, really hungry. I don't think he's going to stop moving for the rest of the night until he catches something. I think this is going to be the story of our evening. If he takes us into Gowrie Cutline, well, it'll be like a repeat of James's evening with Hosanna and Tingana. I think he's aiming for that termite mound. I hope he's aiming for that termite mound.
Is there any buffering stations on Torchwood?
What I'm trying to do is get parallel to him.
Listening by the radio, I think it might just only be Dave Lewis.
He's going to go investigate that burrow. All right. I'm going to figure out exactly where Hosanna's going to go and what he's going to get up to. And while he scents the air, the sticks, I imagine, are thinking about stirring as well.
You will not believe what is happening right now to Seb and I. The exact same story that happened with the Nkahumas. The Sticks Pride have decided to all use the communal toilet, and oh my goodness. I have a scarf over my mouth and Seb is looking rather green in the face. Now this has happened to us twice. We got surrounded by the Nkahumas one time and we had no choice but to sit there. Woo! We've just been hit by a fresh wave. I do apologise. It's rather pungent. Now, if I was to describe the smell, I can't stop looking at Seb's face. I'm not going to look at you, Seb.
What colour would you give it? That's my what colour?
What colour? I would say this colour is a very orangey brown colour. It's very horrible on every level. And I have heard some people comment that, I think it was possibly Tristan, but I could be wrong, say that leopards and lion scat smell the same. I can assure you, in my opinion, it does not. Lion scat, there's just nothing like it. It's very difficult to breathe, but I really, really haven't smelled anything like this before. And I personally feel, again, my personal opinion is it's worse than leopards and it is worse than hyenas. Oh, Sticks Pride. Of course, now this is not uncommon behaviour. They regularly all do things together. It just takes one of them to do it and then the rest of the pride will follow. Contagious behaviour. And this refers to yawning, which is similar in humans, I guess. Allo-grooming, urinating, defecating. Once one gets up, slowly, the rest follows suit. So they're starting to get mobile. They're all grooming. We're actually not in the best position. Should we go forward just marginally? Yeah, we're just going to go forward a slight touch so you can see the rest. This was my scarf over my face, but I've removed it now. I'll be brave because most of the pride are over here. So we're just going to go really, just a tiny bit forward and you'll be able to see them. And you will see that they're all grooming now. So they're awake. They're over their very sleepy day. Just going to stick my nose in here instead. Is that good, Seb? Yeah. Okay. And very shortly, I can assure you, they will be mobile. MGM, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I described it in such a way that even they can smell it. Well, I'm glad because Seb and I are suffering here greatly. So I'm just very happy to share that all with you. But of course, due to their diet and all sorts of things that lions do consume, their scat is incredibly smelly. Now, the grooming is going on. We've got, I think, 2 or 3 that are flat as pancakes. But very shortly, as it starts to get darker, I think I'm going to have my work cut out for me in following this pride. But it's going to be very interesting to see exactly where they go. Will they stay in Juma or will they exit and cross a boundary? So of course we're going to stay with them as long as we can, but we're going to send you guys back up to the Ololololos.
Like another male. Right, well, we've now come to the carcass. We've got a good view of the male lion, and I will tell you that the rain is starting to pelt down. That's okay, we've got enough shelter to be able to film them. We've got 2 young males, 1 female, and the big male. And I'm hoping against hope that this is where they're going to remain until 8:30 East Africa time. Because if they don't, well, it's going to be a little bit tough when it comes to our television show. I'm sure you can hear the crunching. For those of you who are a little bit squeamish, I do apologize. Rest assured, this buffalo can no longer feel anything. Hello, Wicker. You're a new viewer, and you're wondering if we're in a zoo. Wicker, no, we're not in the zoo. We are in the Maasai Mara of Kenya, and that is not a zoo, but a part of a 2 million hectare, or 3.5 million acre natural wilderness area here in East Africa. And you're on a live safari, so instead of having guests on the back of the vehicle, I have the lamentable fellow Gendre, and he has got a camera, and he is producing these beautiful pictures. And so we're in a wildlife area, and then down south, where you've seen the leopard and the lions, there in the Greater Kruger National Park, a similarly sized wilderness area, and they too are not in a zoo at all. So no, these are completely wild animals, and they're not caged. They're totally free to roam and move around as they feel they'd like to. Oh, Alana, I think that lion scat smells worse than leopard scat. I'm not saying leopard scat smells good by any stretch, but lion scat certainly is one of the most unpleasant things I've ever had the misfortune of inhaling. Well, not physically, the gas coming off it, I mean. One shouldn't forget, of course, and this is a little bit grim, but, you know, when you are smelling something, you are in fact taking molecules of that thing into your nostrils. So when you are smelling something bad, like lion scat, small molecules of lion scat are actually getting into your nostrils. That's a lovely thought, isn't it? And as Faith has just said from the final control in Johannesburg, ew. Yes, very ew indeed. Sure you can hear this rain. All the other vehicles have left, and I actually think they were probably moved out of here by the park authorities because there were so many here. Beautiful. Hosanna is on the move, unlike these lions, so we're not going to move at all, but Jamie, like the chief, is on the move as well.
Yes, if Faith could tell James that he's on the move straight to that spot off Gowrie Cutline where we had that fun TV show a couple of weeks ago, I'm sure he will be entertained. Where he had the flat tire. This could be interesting, but we're going to do our best. We're going to see if we can stick with him. What I'm going to warn you all is that we could disappear almost completely because there's no signal down here. I have to try and stick with him before the TV show, but very shortly we are going to vanish off your screens. Where is he gone? I've lost him. Don't let him get too far ahead. There he is. Oops. Hold on, Craig. Let's not pull a Tristan. Oh. At least if I pull a Tristan, I can say it was in the dark. Okay. I'm concentrating very, very carefully. So while I do that, let's send you across to Lauren, who I think is going to be doing the same very shortly.
The stinky sticks, I think. We're safe to call them that, the stinky sticks. But they're absolutely adorable. Now, we are losing light dramatically, which is, of course, why we're in IR. So I still can't get a total count because there actually technically should be 10, but we're only seeing 9 of them. Which leaves the question as to where is the missing one. And many of you may be wondering how far the sticks are from the Nkuhumas. So just to clarify, we are obviously in the sort of southeastern corner of reserve at Twin Dams, very, very close to the southern boundary. And Tristan had the Nkuhumas way up in the northwest near Sandy Patch. So we are both on Juma, but of course there is quite a distance between the two, just in case anyone was wondering about the locations of the Nkuhuma mother and cubbies and the Styx Pride. So long ago, of course, this territory did belong to the Styx, and then they seemed to move off. And it's just amazing that they've came back. I've heard so much about this pride since I've came here. A lot, but of course never ever thought that I would get the pleasure to actually see them. And here they are. And many of you asked yesterday, this morning and today about, what would happen with Nkuhumas and the Styx if they met. And, well, ultimately, I think because of the condition of them, the Styx really don't look too great in terms of they do have the after effects of mange in full force. Look at this, look at the biting going on there for scratching. Ooh, that's not aggressive at all, that's just one lion helping to sort of scratch the other, and it's part of the grooming process. And of course, I believe there's only 2 adult females. So in terms of the strength of each pride, the Nkuhumas probably are slightly stronger in terms of more older, experienced adults, and they appear slightly healthier, I guess, but you never know. So Lien was asking, would our scent, our smell of shampoo or perfumes, I think, affect the animals? Would the lions be able to smell them? Well, generally, a rule of thumb out here in the bush, you learn this when you're doing your guiding, is not to really put heavy scents on. That would include aftershave and perfume and strong body sprays and all the other things females put on, because of course you need to rely on your sense of smell to know what's going on around you. I guess the animals, because they do have such strong sense of smell, will be able to smell us. We will have an odour, a natural odour. I do wash my hair, unfortunately. I think it's necessary, or I would end up with probably dreadlocks by the end of it, which wouldn't be too good. So yes, we will have an odour and they will be able to smell it. But if you're asking if it affects them, Lien, then no, it doesn't. They will just be consciously aware of it. But we don't cover ourselves in perfume or aftershave or any real strong smelling scents. But of course, even when we wash our hands with hand soap, which is also very necessary out here in the bush, as anywhere in the world actually, a scent comes off that. So you can't really avoid scents, but we definitely don't overdo it. Try to avoid all these smelly, strong smelling scents for yourself as well as the animals out here. I have to say, I did think they would be a little bit more mobile than this by now, but I'm glad they're not. I'm really, really glad they're not. And both Seb and I were just discussing, I wonder where they're going to go. My gut is telling me they'll look for water. And potentially the nearest sort of water point to here is Treehouse Dam. That's the closest one. But whether that is where the Styx Pride choose to go, we have no idea. We have to wait and see. So from the Styx Pride in Juma, we're going to send you all the way up to the Olololos Pride in the Mara.
Yes, the Olololos, and a lovely multicoloured, gorgeous scene there of the spinal column, the cervical spinal column. And now we move to the black rotting flesh on the rib cage, along with the intercostal muscles still there uneaten. So lots to feed on at the Olololo Pride Kill at the moment. The sun has set, the rain is coming down. That's an interesting one, Sufi. Yes, I suppose it probably is. The rain may well be keeping the scavengers away in so much as it's probably stopping the smells getting out too far from here. But remember that these lions are an intimidating bunch, and any scavenger that came past here and saw all of these lions here would almost certainly just turn around and go away, especially as there's a big male. And so they may have been visited by a few scavengers during the day, a couple of jackals maybe a hyena came investigating and then turned around and disappeared. Also, lions tend to eat rather quickly, and so, you know, this kill was not like a migration kill where they'll sort of snack on half of it and then leave. They'll finish this buffalo, and they have almost finished the buffalo, and I don't think it's been dead long enough necessarily to attract the scavengers. That said, when we drove in here, it did smell pretty bad, so it has started to rot. So, you know, there could be any number of reasons why there aren't scavengers here. The rain could be one of them, or one of the contributing factors. Lovely sounds of the frogs. You can hear the bubbling casino. Ari, the lions will eat the guts. But what they'll need to do first is clean out the bolus. So they'll actually run the guts through their teeth and squeeze out the sort of undigested plant material or half-digested plant material, and then they will eat the stomach and the intestines. I don't think they have necessarily a preference. They probably do, but I don't know what it is. One of the major limiting nutrients out here is macronutrients, is fat. And so they need to try, from an animal like this, they need to try and get as much fat out of it as possible. And the best way to do that is to eat things like the viscera or the guts, and then also the organs. So the liver and the kidneys and the heart. Not so much the lungs, I don't suppose. And there tends to be a bit of fat around those organs. And after a fairly bounteous time here in the Mara, you can see the grass is still long, there's no drought in progress here. You'll probably find that the buffalo were in pretty good nick when it was killed. And so there probably is a little bit of fat there for them to eat. They'll enjoy the brain too if they can get to it, but on a buffalo I don't think they will get to it. On something like an impala, they crack the skull open quite easily. I'd be interested. I mean, we've only seen 2 lionesses here, and then the 2 males, and I'd be interested if those are the 4 that took this buffalo down. I'd be very surprised if the 4 of them took this buffalo down. Maybe the male helped them. Maybe he was here too. Then it would have been enough. It looks like a pretty big bull that they killed. It had a very bad weekend. Must say, I am struck quite often, I suppose, especially as I get older, by how we talk about death like this just as a kind of matter-of-fact thing, when it was, of course, the ultimate trauma for that buffalo to die at the teeth and claws of these lions. Nothing I don't imagine could have been more terrifying for it. And yet, we talk about it fairly glibly, I feel sometimes. I do, anyway. On that note, rather sad philosophical one, let's go down to someone slightly more cheerful, Mr. Tristan Dix.
Well, it's no luck for us so far, I'm afraid. We are, unfortunately, barrenless. Well, what would we call it? Barren with our search for spotted cats. No sign of Sibui, no sign of Tingana. And so we're just bumbling now in the hope that Tundi might show up. She's been very elusive of late, hasn't she? She's been very, very quiet as Tundi. I wonder what she's been up to. She's being sneaky. Tundi's being sneaky. She's normally up to something. So maybe she's around. Hopefully she'll be around. I'm hoping she's going to appear for me this evening because I feel like a Tundi sighting. It's been a while since I've seen her. Marsha, do they allow research of animals in the Sabi Sands? Yes. In some degrees. Very unobtrusive research. So no collaring or tagging or anything like that. But they will allow, like the camera trap survey that Panthera is running now on leopard density. So that, what is that there in the road? Is it a scrub hare? Marcel, can you shine down the road? I mean, look down the road for me. Just see, it looks scrub hare-ish. Or maybe a little diker. So way down, further down. Go back. There we go, yeah. What is that? I don't think your IR light will reach, Marcel. What is that? It's small, whatever it is. Is it a little gerbil? Oh, a bird. There's a nightjar. Well done, Marcello. So always got to check eyes though, make sure. It was always going to be something small. I thought for a second when I first saw the eyes now, I thought maybe Janet or something like that, but alas, a little too small, I'm afraid. So yes, there's unobtrusive research that takes place. There's been a bit of research on rabies before. There's, I think somebody that was researching recently invasive species of snails within the Sand River, which sounds delightful. And so, yes, they do allow some stuff. Ground hornbill research is thriving in the Sabi Sands. Yeah, a few things. But like I say, as unobtrusive as possible for a lot of the researching. So it's try and avoid messing with animals as much as possible. And so collarings and things like that are generally a no-no for the Sabi Sands. But that doesn't mean we don't see collared animals. So a lot of you will say, but hang on, we see collared animals. Yes, that is true. We do. We will see every now and then the odd collared elephant, collared buffalo, collared, I don't know, whatever that comes across this way. And those are all coming out of Kruger. So those are research animals from Kruger. But most of the buffalo and ellie studies are done. So generally when you see that, you should be contacting somebody and saying, listen, we've seen this. And, you know, the collar's still on, because most of the collars are actually working on some of those animals. Difficult to find them when the collar stops working. Good, I'm going to keep bumbling. I'm going to hope for a Tundi, Tlolamba, Tingana, so any of the T sightings. And while I do that, back across to Lauren with the Stinky Sticks.
And it's quite beautiful knowing that you're here underneath the stars as the night is setting with the Sticks Pride. A pride you would never, ever believe that you would get to meet. And just, oh, just as predicted, they're on the move. They're going right into the Mawati. Do you know what? I think I might move now to try and loop round and catch them.
Yeah.
Because we need to know whether they're going to cross or travel down. Yeah, they're moving right into the Mawati people. It is, in fact, time to move. I must put my lights on to make sure. Yeah, one by one, off they go. I knew it. So they're either going to cross Mawati to the other side or they're going to go right down to the southern border. So I just want to try and loop round now to find them. Sticks and Stones is asking, do the sticks have any dominant males? Well, no, they don't. And I don't know which male coalitions they're honestly affiliated with. This is going to be a bit bumpy. Obviously, this is the first time we've seen them in a long time. So I really genuinely have no idea if they're affiliated with any male coalitions in the area. So it's all females that we see. And I think 2 are adults. Now, I don't know how many we've got right in front of us because some of them were flat, but we did have 9 earlier on. So in terms of dominant males, no, there is no dominant males. But they can be associated with coalitions and they will indeed separate from them, and it all depends when they are mating. So we're going to try and catch up with them. Hopefully we can, but for now we're going to send you guys back up to the Olololos.
We have gone into infrared, and that is on account of the fact that the light has faded to the extent that we are now unable to use the normal colour. Here comes the lioness, Jondry, just to the right-hand side, approaching at a stately walk, flicking her tail. There is growling. The male is growling. He's going... Either that or he's got a frog in his throat. Oof, look how... What? Is that the young male? Oof, she looks... Just zoom it. Is that as close as you can get, Chandri? No, that's a female. With a problem. Look how mangled her... Or how... The poor condition of her back legs. That is a female, isn't it?
Mm. Yes.
Yeah. Shame, she doesn't look so good. I wonder if she's sick.
Sent me the mail yesterday.
Yeah, similar to the male. She doesn't seem to have those dots on her. But same kind of poor condition of the hindquarters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. Very interesting. There's one of the young males. Very happy to be eating, as all young males are. Some, even old males, quite happy to be eating. I'm one of them. Yeah, and a lot of you saying she walks with a funny gait. I'm not sure what would do that to her. Perhaps some spinal injury, perhaps a circulatory problem. Could even be something like a cancer. Remember we had a dog once, a little staffy called Cecily. And Cecily got cancer around that area. And she looked quite similar. I just can't believe that that would be the case. That would be so unusual out here. But not impossible. Many of you wondering if that could... John Ray, couldn't you not have warned me? I'm sitting in a very comfortable position, everybody. I'm not moving now. Wondering if she could be the mother of the cubs that... what's his name again? Pat. That Pat saw being killed. No, I don't think so. Oh, well, I don't know. She could be. It's possible. I don't think that her current condition is a function of anything to do with her losing cubs. She may have had a difficult birth or something, perhaps. Maybe she had a breech birth or something like that. Could have caused the problem. I'd love to hear your suggestions, but that's going to probably have to be tomorrow, I'm afraid. We only have 30 seconds left of this show. Remember, you can watch our TV show on YouTube, Hush Hush Nudge Nudge Wink Wink. We'll be on again in half an hour. We're going to sit with the lions. Hopefully the cats at Djuma will play ball. If you can't watch, we will see you tomorrow again, of course, at 6 o'clock Central African time. You can work out what time that is where you are in the world. Until then, bye-bye.